Right, hello, welcome back to the channel. This is Boris. Today we're going to talk about government contract. Like always, we're going to more specifically talk about pricing and really diving into how to look up pricing for previous contracts or to see the pricing that was used by other companies that have won government contract in the past, and a few platforms that we're going to be leveraging to help us do that. So we're going to be using usaspending.gov. We're also going to be using sam.gov. We're also going to be using feds.gov, and from state, we're going to talk about state and local government procurement pricing there. We won't spend too much time there because every state and local government just has their own platforms usually. So there's going to be so many of them to try to go through. So there we will just talk in general about what to look for there, and then we might touch into the GSA library as well. So yeah, so let's really focus on talking about why pricing matters, right? So pricing matters really because it helps you to stay competitive. Once when you write proposal in order to win government contract, if you have good pricing, that will really help you stay competitive. So it's important to know what your competition has charged for similar services in the past. So especially if you are in a highly competitive field, which most fields in government contracting are, so then you definitely want to understand what goes into pricing, and also what goes into spending. How much does the government spend into your industry, especially if you are newer in the space. For companies that have been winning contract before, they pretty much know the numbers. They know how much the government spends yearly in their industry. But in this specific video, we really assume that you kind of have an idea of that, and then we're just really focusing on pricing just in general, right? And then the pricing really matters also because it really shows, it really helps you, it will really help you to learn how to bid, right? Because if you see how much other companies have bidded in the past, that will really help you to identify or you can bid, or you want to bid, or you want to structure your bid. Just to give you an idea, right? Let's say you have a specific contract size that you're trying to go for, and you look up for similar contract size that have been awarded in the past. And let's say you've done a bid that is like 1 million, but then the same contract was awarded for like 500,000 last year, or similar size contract was awarded for 500,000, then your pricing is off. So this is why having the ability to go and look up or pre-order platforms or order contracts have been priced in the past, it really helps out. So yeah, we're gonna go through a few of those platforms just to kind of navigate them from a basic user level standpoint, and so you can kind of see, or you can leverage them for your own benefit. All right, so before we get too far, we're gonna really appreciate if you can follow, like, and share this video if you found it very useful. It takes us a lot of research and time to do those videos, so any support will be very appreciated. We have a goal to reach 10,000 subscribers in the next 12 to 18 months, so any support will be truly appreciated. All right, so let's keep going here. So we're gonna start with USA spending. When it comes to USA spending, really the key factor there when it comes to like searching pricing, you probably need to come into start searching awards. And again, we're gonna be using those platforms from a basic, so we're not gonna go too crazy, try to do crazy manipulations. And so we're just gonna go basic just to kind of show you, you know things that you can easily find that will help you make decision quicker, right? So we're not gonna be expert user. So all right, so when you get to that page here, so let's say your company is in uh IT security, right? So we're gonna do IT security or cyber security, right? Cyber security, because that's a big one. Oh, security, cyber security. So my eyes is not very good. Yep, I think I spelled it right. Okay, let's go and let's see. Let's try. We can filter by dates, right? So let's say I want to, or by range. Here we can see year to date or last year. Let's just go last year because year to date. I'm recording this video in June, July, so it's only going to give us 6 months worth of data. But so let's just go for last year for 2024 so that we can have a bigger broad. But really, you can even narrow down, by location, by award ID, by next code. So we could have really gone directly to the next code. But in this case, I'm doing IT cyber security again. We can you can do that. You can narrow down however you would like. And then so we're just gonna go and add last year in here in the search, and then we're gonna go add submit. So you can see for cybersecurity keywords, there was 439 contracts that were awarded last year in 2024. That's a lot of contracts. And then pretty much tells us the agencies and the amount. So when you see those report there, those reports usually tells us a lot of things. It pretty much tells you which agency that you want to target the most. Obviously, when it comes to cybersecurity, pretty much every agency needs it, but they don't all need that at the same capacity, right? So in this case, you can see that the DoD needed cybersecurity the most among all agencies, and they needed 500 million dollars. So they purchased 500 million worth of cybersecurity services last year. Those informations are very important to you, right? Then okay, DoD is really who I want to go for. But I like to say, the best approach there is not to go for the agency that needs your service the most. I will go for the agency that I will go harder on the ones that the second one that needs it the most. So if I was you, if it was my company, instead of trying to advertise the services to the DoD, I will go and advertise that to the Department of Commerce. That's the way I will do it. I will go to the second most because within the DoD, everybody who's in cybersecurity knows that the DoD, like the big top guys, they know this is who they need to go market to. So it's highly competitive. I'm not, but there's also a lot of volume, of course. But I will go to the second level one. That way, I can shift the focus from the most looked at, the most sought after agency to the second, sought after agency. I believe it will increase your chance slightly there. But then you can see it by month. You can see the months of the year. Of course, the last month of the year is always high because they're trying to spend the budget that was allocated for that year. So then so it's very expected there. And then as you can see the locations. Virginia, of course, was a lot of money spent there, but you know why? There's a big base in Virginia. You can kind of see Mississippi. So there's a lot of states that have spent in Kansas 1.1, Texas 37 millions. So that really gives you an idea of where you need to go when it comes to like if you really want to target by region, then it really gives you an idea of, okay, those are the regions that you want to be into. But as you can tell, it's pretty much in all states. So at this point, I would not even really be worried because most people would be affected, because most people live in those states here. So yeah, I would definitely, those are very good informations to have. And then yeah, so let's talk about really pricing here. So let's see the first contract. Of course, you see that contract was almost a 500 million contract. This was for 475 million dollars. That's a huge contract. And then you have General Dynamic with of course, those are big companies with a contract that is 329 million dollars, very large. Rockwell Collins. So let me go there. And again, we search for contract that had cybersecurity keywords in there. It doesn't necessarily mean that those are going to be exactly that, but we're going to come very close. That means there is some in those contracts that we have pulled up right now have some cybersecurity task or in their scope of work. So how can you use that information? So you have the solicitation there, of course, right? and then you have the company that won that contract, and you have an agency, you have an address, and you have a date, you have an amount that was awarded to them, you have the next code. You can say it's in computer design, and then you can see specific services there: IT, telecom, cyber security, and data backup. So that this one is really cyber security here and data backup. So very, and a lot of time you're gonna see cybersecurity coming with something else. It's not always just straight cybersecurity. Usually you see cybersecurity, system design, software design. Usually it's anything IT coming with cybersecurity. If you really want to dig deeper there, you can go look for the scope of work contract, and then you can really have an idea of if you have a similar scope of work, then you can really use that to help you build yours. Yeah, and another thing you can do here is you can come here and you can go to sub awards, and the sub awards pretty much those are pretty much subcontractors that are since with those huge contracts usually they require to have subcontractors anyway, so then those are the subcontractors that won the award with them. So and so some of those are pretty good sized companies too, like Accenture. They are pretty good sized companies. So and then so really and you can see the percentage of awards that went the to subcontractors there, and then you can see the federal account um, funding tab here with some additional information. So that can really give you an idea of if you have a scope of work that you're trying to bid on, you can just go and kind of look for, contracts that were provided by that agency last year or in the previous years, and you can kind of scope it out that way and see what the amount that won, the bid that won. And you can, I mean, you're not going to see the exact proposal, but you're going to see the amount that really helps out to see exactly, that's going to give you an idea, of how much you should probably be looking at when it comes to bidding yours. And you can see there's more activities, your transaction history. You can see um, administration action 600,000, funding action, cybersecurity support services to provide additional incremental funding 586, to support modification is 0, cybersecurity operation service modification to add incremental funds 1.9 million, to support services. So you can just see the breakdown of all the different transaction stories. That way you kind of have an idea of, in more details, kind of what happened with that contract. Maybe with the bid that you're working on is for a smaller section, and then maybe that will help you, to find some information that will really, yeah, give you some insight on how you can write your own bid. So yes, this is a very good website, and then they also have sections here where you can go custom awards, Awards data archive. I believe most of it can be found without login, but then I think if you want to go deeper, then you have to log in. So some of those information can are available to the public. So like I said, we doing just a very basic search here. So people who use that on the daily basis, of course, they know how to navigate that, be able to get even more information. I would really recommend to get that one, especially if you are in charge of doing pricing in your company. Then more likely if you're a small business, you're also in charge of pricing. I highly recommend to be checking that website and be really familiar with that. It will really give you a lot of insight when it comes to pricing your project. All right, in this section we're going to talk about sam.gov, or you can leverage sam.gov in order to help with your pricing when it comes to government contracts. So sam.gov is another site that you can use pretty much um, without needing to log in. So most of the things that I'm going to be doing here, I won't even need to log in. No, I have a couple logins accounts because I work with a few companies and I have logins for pretty much each of them. But for this video, we won't even need to log in. Yeah, so pretty much you just go into search here. Let's see, we just want to see companies that have won contract in what we can do. We can just put technology, right? let's just put tech. Even if you put tech, if you put tech there, then you're gonna go into contract, and then you're gonna come here, you're gonna filter by notice type. If you put notice type, then you put award notice. That's pretty much the announcement that the company has been awarded a contract. And then this is a GSA, multiple schedule award. So let's just say computer navigation. Let's just take this one as an example. So let's say you're working on a contract that is on about computer navigation, right? And you read the scope of work, and then the scope of work is very similar to. So let's say you come and you put computer navigation here. You can come here. Sometimes you can download the scope of work documentations. Sometimes it's not available anymore, but at least you have a general description um, of what was this work about. So then in there you can pretty much see the agency who put out this solicitation. You can see the awardee number, and then you can see the awardee name, and you can see the amount. So this contract was a smaller contract. It was only $29,000, which is fine. And then so that would really give you an idea. Okay, so based on this one, this same agency gave, let's say you were working on that agency had pushed out last year, then that really gives you an idea. Okay, for that specific contract last year they paid 29,000. Then when you go and work on yours, the scope of work may not necessarily be the same, but it will give you an idea, and it cannot tell you what the next code was, because it was detection, navigation, and so on. And then so yeah, you have an idea. It gives you the name of the procurement officer. So you might reach out to that procurement officer, ask the scope of work. That way you can compare. Sometimes they will send that back, sometimes they will not. So that just depends. And sometimes it will be there too. It's not always there to help you compare. So but at least you have this is good information to kind of help you out, find some of that information to give you a good place to get started with. So yeah, so that's another way you can go and find pricing for past project. So you can see the pricing is here, and you can say it tells you exactly what it was about, computer navigation. It gives you the next code, it gives you the agency, it gives you the procure officer name. I think it's enough information to take you further, especially if you if the opportunity that you're trying to go for was provided by the same agency. All right, so right, this is another website that you can use to help you with getting more data from past awards, to really help you get some pricing. Now, I've never really used these websites, but I'm aware that people are using these websites. I don't know if you can use that without logging in or not, but it looks like they have some good information, especially when it comes to GSC and stuff. But again, this is not a website that I've normally used. So but yeah, if you want to go ahead and use that for your own research, I thought I would go ahead and at least show that website. But it's not a website that I normally use for myself. But yeah, I thought I would show it so that you can, if you want to look more into this website, feel free to go ahead and use it and try it out. Let me know what you think after trying that out. All right, and in this section we're gonna talk specifically about the state and local. So when it comes to pricing, not every state and local always publish it the same way, so they each have their own way of reporting. But I believe by now the file is pretty much it's the Federal Acquisition Regulation. So by the Federal Acquisition Regulations, they are supposed to be publishing the awardees of each procurement that is published out, but each have their own way of publishing it. So if you really need to see if you are a contractor that bids at the local level, I would highly recommend you to get a hold of your procurement system or support team and just ask them if there's a way for you to access that. There's always a way to access it. It might not just be known by the public, but there is always a way to access it because by the federal acquisition regulations, they have to publish that. So yeah, so really I would recommend to always check. Pricing is very important when it comes to government contracting because pricing really can either make you win a contract or it can make you lose a contract. And you definitely want pricing to be able to win your contract. Now, especially if you know that you had the opportunity to give better pricing. It's different if you know you have provided your best pricing and you can come lower, and even if you lose that bid, then at least you won't feel as bad because you gave your best pricing, right? But losing a bid because you had no idea um of what they were willing to pay for a specific service, and you came so high and you were not sure where to position your bid, and you didn't necessarily provide the best bid, that will hurt a little bit because then you put all this work to put the proposal together and the bid package together, but then you're losing because you came way too high, or and you didn't really know or to price out, because at the end of the day, the government likes to purchase at the lowest cost. Now, the quality is usually, for the most part, very important too, because they want good service, but pricing is always very important to them as well. So they are usually not gonna go for the highest price. That I can tell you that from experience. But they don't always go for the lowest price. They usually do, but not always. So it's just that's where they have evaluation criteria in each procurement that is published. Pretty much, pricing is always one of the evaluation criteria that they have to help them make the decision. And the evaluation criteria, for the most part, are always made public to really help contractors in order to structure their bid the best possible way. So yeah, I wish you luck in your government contracting journey. As always, if you need any help with government contracting, make sure you contact us through our website or through our email address that is on the website. Thank you, and all of our information will be in the description below. Feel free to check it out.